Chapter 63. The Crotch. Out of the trunk the branches grow, out of them the twigs. So in productive subjects grow in chapters. The crotch alluded to in the previous page deserves an independent mention. It is a notched stick of a peculiar form some 2 feet in length, which is perpendicularly inserted into the starboard gunwale near the bow, for the purpose of furnishing a rest for the wooden extremity of the harpoon, whose other naked barbed end slopingly projects from the prow. Thereby the weapon is instantly at hand to its hurler, who snatches it up readily from its rest, and the backwoodsman swings his rifle from the wall. It is customary to have 2 harpoons reposing on the crotch, respectively called the first and second irons. But these 2 harpoons, each by its own cord, are both connected with line, the object being this: to dart them both, if possible, one instantly after the other into the same whale, so that if in the coming drag one should draw out, the other may still retain a hold. It is doubling of the chances, but it is very often happens that, owing to the instantaneous, violent, convulsive running on the whale, upon receiving the first iron, it becomes impossible for the harpooner, however lightning-like his moments, to pitch the second iron into him. Nevertheless, as the second iron is already connected with line, and the line is running, hence that weapon must, at all events, be anticipatorily tossed out of the boat, somehow and somewhere, else the most terrible jeopardy would involve all hands. Tumbled into the water, it accordingly, in such cases, the spare coils of the box line, mentioned in a preceding chapter, making this feat, in most instances, prudently practicable. But this sort of critical act is not always unattended with the saddest and most fatal casualties. Furthermore, you must know that when the second iron is thrown overboard, it thenceforth becomes a dangling, sharp-edged terror, skittishly curvetting around both boat and whale, entangling the lines or cutting them, and making the prodigious sensation in all directions. Nor in general is it possible to secure it again until the whale is fairly captured in a corpse. Consider now how it must be the case of 4 boats all engaging in one unusually strong, active, and knowing whale, when owing to these qualities in him, as such, the thousands concurring accidents of such audacious enterprise, 8 or 10 loose second irons may simultaneously be dangling about him. For, of course, each boat is supplied with several harpoons to bend on the line, should the first one be ineffectually darted without recovery. All these particulars are faithfully narrated here, as they will not fail to elucidate several most important, however intricate, passages and scenes hereafter to be painted. This is the end of chapter 63. So we have the crotch, and if you have a tree with a Y in it, that's referred to as a crotch. And a crotch is simply where 2 things come together and become one. So anyway, you have this Y-shaped piece on the boat on the starboard side, so that's on the right hand side, because 83% of the people are right-handed, so it makes sense to put it on the right hand side. You go, you grab the harpoon, you throw, you grab the other one, you throw. And they said that the 2 harpoons are connected by cord to the line, and they're both connected to the line. So what happens is Dagu throws the harpoon, it sticks into the whale, and the whale takes off running. Well, because it's connected to the line by a cord, the first harpoon goes off with the whale, and then it starts pulling the line. And then once it reaches the point where the cord connected to the second harpoon is connected to the line, that harpoon is then going to be pulled out. So let's say you have 30 feet of cord connecting the 2 harpoons, connecting each harpoon to the line. So he throws 30 feet, and then the whale runs out 30 feet, and the second harpoon is now being pulled by the whale out of the boat. And woe to whoever is in front of that harpoon, because that harpoon is going to be moving at whatever speed the whale is. And so the author gives the impression that people have been harpooned accidentally by the whale pulling along the second harpoon line. So the whale gets harpooned, takes off, and here you have this other harpoon floating 60 feet back from the whale, and the whale whips its tail, goes back and forth, and you have this harpoon just going off and impaling somebody. And he says that, sometimes he subtly foreshadows that bad things are going to happen. Here he's like, yeah, bad things are going to happen, and this is what is going to cause it. I've seen designs and such, and, engineering, and even in computer programs. It's like you take a look at something, and you go, this is not going to end well. And it's only by sheer luck that bad things don't happen. It's like I've seen code and it's like, this is not going to end well. Fix it. So, for instance, there was a piece of code where computer program where it was a phone application that gave you the weather based on your location. And they just sent, okay, I'm going to get the location as often as possible, and I'm going to send that to the API as often as possible. It's like, no, this is not going to end well. Because the GPS is not like a perfect thing. So there are a lot of things in computers where, you get these numbers back, but there's something called significant figures. So a significant figure is how accurate a number is. So let's say you have 128 degrees, 128.23 degrees. And it's actually 128.23982476539. The thing is that only the first two digits after the decimal point, the 23, are significant. Everything else might as well just be a random number. And the thing is that when you ask the code for give me the GPS location, it will tell you down to like a 100th of an inch. And it's like, there is no way it's going to be that accurate. I mean, my hand jitters more than that. And it's going to give you this number, and it's going to be a different number. And it's going to be a different number every time because, one, the satellites move. The accuracy of GPS is at best 50 feet, 30 feet. It's not perfectly accurate. And so here you have this large area that you're trying to define down to this tiny little number. And so in a lot of ways, it might as well just be random gibberish. And it often is. You have these things. It's like, look, you're asking for this information as often as you can get it. And you're asking for it ultra precise. More precise than you can actually get it, because the computer will lie to you. You say, tell me this to 10 decimal places, and it will give you what it thinks it is to those 10 decimal places, but it's just making stuff up. So, and then, it's like, I saw this. It's like, okay, and you're going to be asking every, as often as it comes back.